President Donald Trump. No! Respect his authority. Honestly, so much comes at us every day with him, I can't even sleep, organize thoughts, eat. And he knows. He knows he's toying with us. Here he is on Tuesday of last week.
We're going to have a very, very big announcement to make, like as big as it gets, and I won't tell you on what.
Oh, good. So we won't know how to prepare. Should we wear our good pants or the ones we piss in? But fine, don't tell us this big announcement. Just tell us when.
And that announcement will be made either Thursday or Friday or Monday before we leave.
Why are you mentioning it? Is it sweeps week? Is that what this is? But fine. We will keep our eyes out for any announcement bombshells. And on Friday, I think we got one.
The privilege of the writ of habeas corpus can be suspended in a time of invasion. So I would say that's an option we're actively looking at.
The government, the United States government, is actively looking at suspending due process and the rule of law. That's a big announcement. Big enough for Stephen Miller to risk bursting into flames because of the touch of God's sunlight.
The only time a president has done it unilaterally without the authorization of Congress was Abraham Lincoln during the Civil War.
That was the last. Really? So back when slavery was legal and the treatment for diarrhea was amputation. But that being said, this is a big announcement.
As you know, ability of somebody to challenge their rights in courts is a pretty essential part of the rule of law. So certainly raising a lot of eyebrows with that comment.
Just eyebrows? The Trump administration is thinking of tearing up the Constitution. So here in Washington, we're hearing a lot of, huh. One legal scholar even said, that's weird. So maybe that's the announcement. Suspension of habeas corpus, unless there's something else.
President Trump is appointing former New York prosecutor Jeanine Pirro as interim U.S. attorney.
You may say to yourself, well, that can't be the announcement. Because that's just not that big a deal. Yet in this new world that we live in, this announcement registers the same as suspending habeas corpus on the eyebrowometer.
Jeanine Pirro, a lot of eyebrows are being raised at this pick so far.
Hey, Jeanine! You're going to be the new U.S. attorney in D.C. Yeah, I know! We're surprised, too. That is, by the way, the sound. Oh, also, they're suspending habeas corpus. Same. All right. So maybe that's the big announcement. But hey, we've got until today for any other announcements. Is there anything else?
The Trump administration is preparing to accept a super luxury Boeing jumbo jet from the royal family of Qatar.
That luxury jumbo jet, which has a value estimated at $400 million. The aircraft would be used by President Trump as a new Air Force One and then transferred to the Trump Presidential Library Foundation shortly before he leaves office.
What? Qatar is giving us a plane that Trump gets to keep. He's like the reverse Oprah. I get a jet, and that's it. I get a jet for my library. Why does his library need a jet? Why would your presidential library need... yeah, hello, I'm calling from Europe, and I need a book about Trump by morning. And the book must travel in the comfort and style one can only get from Qatar.
It's known as the most luxurious private jet in the world, described as a flying palace. It features the biggest master bedroom in the sky, as well as some very plush living quarters and several private offices. Some of the 9 bathrooms on board have full showers and even a bidet.
Oh, I didn't even know water could go there. Okay. Holy crap. That is not a plane. That is a flying palace. I'm not going to tell Trump how to run his business, but I would steam the shit out of those carpets. But hey, it's a jet from Qatar. We can trust them. They're not suspect like Canada or working to undermine us like all of our other democratic allies in Europe.
Qatar is considered an American ally, but it is also an ally of Iran and China and even Hamas.
Oh! Trump's going to take a $400 million jet from people he would expel from Columbia University. I think, you know what? This is shocking. This is shocking. I think I know what this news might do to our eye pubes.
It raises many, many eyebrows to have this sort of deal at all.
Actually, that's how the plane flies. It overcomes Earth's gravity through the power of the raised eyebrows. Look, obviously, the president would understand that a gift of this magnitude from a government with questionable ties to terror organizations, combined with Article 1, Section 9, constitutional prohibition against the president accepting a foreign flying palace, he would understand that that's a legitimate... I'm just kidding. He was appalled that you'd even ask.
They're giving us a free jet. I could say, no, don't give us... I want to pay you $1 billion or $400 million or whatever it is. Or I could say, thank you very much.
It's not a free jet. That's the point. You know the expression, there's no such thing as a free lunch? That's about being skeptical of the motives of somebody who gives you a sandwich. A sandwich, a BLT. Now, imagine that BLT has an engine, 9 bathrooms, and funds proxy wars. So in the dizzying run-up to this big announcement of the possible suspension of habeas corpus, or maybe the appointment of another Fox News star, or the naked bribery of our highest elected officials, none of those were Trump's big announcement.
President Trump just announced that prescription drug and pharmaceutical prices will be reduced by 30 to 80% almost immediately. This appears to be the major announcement that the president has been teasing for days.
I am having wanted that for years. Pharma has exploited the American consumer while we have in turn subsidized their whole industry with tax incentives and direct funds. I like this. But without getting into the weeds, explain this thing that I've wanted for a very long time, like I'm incredibly dumb.
Drug prices will come down. We're getting them down 60, 70, 80, 90%. But actually more than that, if you think about it in the way mathematically.
If you think about it mathematically. I don't want to brag, but I often think about numbers mathematically. How is this going to work?
The rest of the world's going to have to pay a little bit more, and America's going to pay a lot less. Basically, what we're doing is equalizing. There's a new word that I came up with, which I think is probably the best word. We're going to equalize.
Europe, Eureka, Euclid. Yeah, here it is. Equalize. I thought it sounded familiar. Look. He's trying to kill us all. Look, I would like to think that the tenacious pleadings of progressive leaders like Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders helped make this possible.
We are sick and tired of paying by far the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs.
I'm going to attack the prices on commonly used drugs.
Put a cap on the cost of insulin, a cap on the cost of prescription drugs.
And not one of those child caps that you can't. I have diarrhea. What's happening? Unfortunately, it turns out credit for the biggest, most important announcement in the history of this presidency goes to someone else.
I mean, I'll tell you a story. A friend of mine who's a businessman, very, very, very top guy. Most of you would have heard of him. A highly neurotic, brilliant businessman, seriously overweight.
That took a turn. Top guy, brilliant, you know him, famous, bit of a chubs. Anyway, I'm sure public press coverage is a rough way for this guy to find out that he is saved in Trump's phone as neurotic fat friend. But what else can you tell us about this friend who's very famous, successful businessman?
A highly neurotic, brilliant businessman, seriously overweight, and he takes the fat shot drug.
Fat shot? The fat shot? Do you read any of your briefings? He takes the fat shot. You know, the fat shot. I got another friend, brilliant, real estate mogul. He takes the dick stiff pills. This guy takes the fat shot. This guy takes the dick stiff pills. I'm sorry, continue the story about this fat of a friend of yours.
And he called me up and he said, President, could I ask you a question? What? I'm in London and I just paid for this damn fat drug I take. I said, it's not working.
Yo, Rickles, that is ice cold. Your friend is like opening up, like, oh, I took this bad drug. He's like, it's not working. He's like, I'm trying. This poor guy. He's just catching strays in the middle of a presidential press conference. Trump's talking about drug pricing reform, and he's like, hey, when this guy goes to the hospital, the nurse gives him 50 cc's of Crisco. He's fat. Hey, my friend, he's very successful, went to London, and when they saw him, they changed the name of Big Ben to just Ben, because this guy's fat. He's a fat piece of shit, this guy. Anyway, back to life-saving drug pricing. Again, President Trump, what does any of this have to do with pricing?
He said, I just paid $88, and in New York I pay $1,300. What the hell is going on? He said, so I checked, and it's the same box, made in the same plant, by the same company. It's the identical pill. This is a great businessman, but he's not familiar with this crazy situation that we have. But he was stunned.
Yeah, he was as stunned as he is fat. I mean, By the way, I don't know if anybody realized, but the fat shot somehow turned into a fat pill in the middle of the story. It's how you know the story is true. But you know, whether the story is true or not, Donald Trump's point is, if you find yourself in the socialized healthcare systems of London and you want to run out and get some Ozempic and some fish and chips, don't bother, because his fat of a friend ate them all like a pot of orcas on a tuna bender. But the point is, right now his poor friend is at home going, don't look at me. It feels like a decade ago that they threatened to suspend habeas corpus. It was Friday. That long ago yesteryear when the Knicks were still up 2-0. And since then, we've had the largest bribe ever given to an American president, the seeming surrender of a trade war we started, and the socializing of our pharmaceutical industry. What even is this country? And what operating... 4 months ago, we were a standard issue democratic constitutional republic. Now we're some kind of anarcho, klepto, socialist, communist Silk Road reality show. The only foundational unchanging edict that we can even hang our hats on anymore is that whatever we are now as a country, that country is closed to any refugees. As Stephen Miller said, America is now for Americans only. So hopefully there will be no more surprise announcements that overturn that apple cart.
After pausing virtually all refugee admissions for those fleeing war and famine, the Trump administration is now planning to welcome one group, white South Africans.
What the White South Africans? That's the only group we're opening? What? You already have one. What? Why? You know what, Mr. President? You don't need 37 South Africans. Now you'll make do with just 1 or 2. Wait, this wouldn't have anything to do with the white thing, would it?
Their land is being confiscated in South Africa. I don't care about their race, their color. I don't care about their height, their weight.
Oh, you care about their weight.
You know what? Being an American president is hard. People criticize your policies. They nitpick your moral deficiencies. Every time you even suggest removing habeas corpus, people start whining. No, we need that. Boo-hoo. You know, sometimes you just want to go somewhere where people don't pick apart your flaws and they treat you like a king.
Overnight, President Trump touching down in Saudi Arabia, escorted by military jets, a lavish welcome for his first visit to the Middle East since his re-election.
The Saudi prince greeted him at the airport, and he got a horse escort into the Saudi palace.
What? A horse escort? I gotta say, when you hear that Trump got a horse escort, this is the best version of that story. But, I gotta tell you, Saudi Arabia, oh man, they went all out. It wasn't just the horse escort. They greeted Trump with a full brass band that was... really trying their best, you know? And then it was time for Trump to walk down the famous purple carpet. And so he walked, and he walked, kept walking. You know, it feels like he could have stayed in the car for some. Oh, now we take an escalator. Great, we're done with. No, we're still walking. Yep, that's fine. It's a cool 108 degrees. This guy can handle it. You know, Trump's looking at the carpet, going, you know, these things fly here, right? Don't they show me a whole new world or some shit like that? But look, a horse guard and purple carpets, that might impress the average world leader. But Donald Trump is no average world leader. And Saudi Arabia knows how to cater to a man with such refined tastes.
Saudi Arabia had a McDonald's mobile truck come on site so that President Trump could have his favorite McDonald's.
Perfect. Oh, I gotta tell you, it is nice to see they got another use out of the horses once they were done with that escort. It's good to know. It's good. You got to hand it to the Saudis, though. They know the fastest way to Trump's heart is through his stomach, out the colon, with a little bit staying behind in his arteries. But not everything in the royal kingdom was to Trump's liking. Now, after they arrived, the Saudis served some coffee, but while everyone else drank theirs, Donald Trump just held his in his hand the whole time. Look at that. Look at that, right? It looks like he was waiting to give a urine sample to the nurse. Yeah, I gotta tell you, I get this. Honestly, I get it. Unfamiliar coffee on a trip is risky. One sip is all it takes to go from traveler's constipation to traveler's, you guys go without me, I'm gonna hang out in the room for a while. It's a smart move. It's a smart move, Mr. President. You don't want to throw a wrench into that perfect gut biome you've created. Now, that being said, Trump maybe regretted not taking that caffeine shot a few minutes later.
Mohammed bin Salman is saying we need a resolution on a Palestinian state. And I don't necessarily recall several years ago, pre-October 7th, as that being a demand that he had necessarily stated publicly. Do you think his position has changed, or do you think the way he has expressed himself, has that changed?
Mr. President, come on, you can't fall asleep there. This isn't an intelligence briefing. Come on, man. Look, it's not actually a big deal for the president to have jet lag. I'm not so much of an asshole that I make fun of someone for nodding off a bit on a trip. But you know who is that much of an asshole?
Joe Biden. The guy can fall asleep instantly with the press watching. Who the hell wants to sleep with these people watching? And he's out cold. You see the dribble coming down the side of his chin.
Well. Look who's sleeping now. Ooh, well. I tell you what. Joe Biden, you must be loving... Oh, he's passed out. Never mind. Of course, it's in the Saudis' interest to give Trump the royal treatment. But I'm sure the President of the United States understands that the Saudi crown prince is not without baggage. It was just a few years ago that he murdered an American journalist. So I'm sure the president will keep a healthy distance from the crown prince.
I like him a lot. I like him too much. That's why we give so much, Too much. I like you too much.
Yeah, I agree. You might like him too much. Regardless, you know what? It was a very nice start to this trip abroad, where he'll visit not just Saudi Arabia, but then Qatar and then the UAE. But you might be wondering, why did Trump pick these countries for his first foreign trip? Well, there's a strong geopolitical balance of... I'm f***ing with you! Corruption!
His sons, who now run the Trump Organization, have lucrative real estate deals in the works in all three countries the president is visiting.
Yeah, the Trump boys have projects in all three countries. I never thought I'd say this, but can't these countries go back to doing something more constructive, like funding terrorism? But Donald Trump doesn't see any of these business conflicts as a problem. In fact, if anything, he's taking conflicts to a new height, as in heights like the sky.
We turn to the uproar over the $400 million gift from the government of Qatar tonight, a luxury 747 jumbo jet to be used as Air Force One until the end of Trump's term, when the White House says it would be decommissioned and donated to the Trump Library.
Yeah, I think we could stop pretending that this airplane is going to be transferred to his presidential library. This is like the news reporting your aunt is bringing her good friend Linda to Thanksgiving. They're cooter, people. That's what's happening, okay? Look, now, apart from being a security concern and a potential bribe, it seems clearly unconstitutional to give the president a gift like this. But you know what? What do I know? Attorney General Pam Bondi, what say you?
Attorney General Pam Bondi says the gift is, quote, legally permissible and not a bribe because Trump isn't giving Qatar anything in return.
Well, there you have it, right? Trump hasn't given them anything, and it's been like 36 hours. You know what? I trust her. She's the Attorney General. You know, just a quick fact check. What did she do before she was the Attorney General?
We should point out that Bondi previously worked as a foreign lobbyist for the nation of Qatar, earning about $115,000 a month.
Oh, right. You know, it looks bad, but if you have to understand, that's a lot of money. And money feels good to have and to spend. So now I get it. Today, Trump's visit to the Middle East brought him to Qatar. It's also acceptable to say Qatar. However, Qatar is not acceptable under any circumstances. Pick an instrument, you synth pop coward. Now, yesterday, Saudi Arabia greeted Trump with horses. And today, Qatar said, oh, you think that's cool? How about horses and camels and motherfucking sword dancers? Yeah, whoa! That puts a lot of pressure on his trip tomorrow to the UAE. I bet they're sweating right now. You know, we're just gonna give him an edible arrangement. What the are we gonna do? Whew. Of course, Qatar didn't just give him a sword dance show. They also offered him a $400 million luxury jumbo jet. Now, this plane has become a huge controversy. It's a security risk. The optics are terrible. It's clearly unconstitutional. So you gotta wonder, why does Trump want it so bad?
And you know, these planes, the plane that you're on right now is almost 40 years old. And when you land and you see Saudi Arabia and you see UAE and you see Qatar and you see all these, and they have these brand new Boeing 747s mostly, and you see ours next to it, it's much smaller, it's much less impressive. I believe that we should have the most impressive plane.
We still talking about planes? Look, we're on the tarmac next to each other, you know. I know you're not supposed to just look straight ahead, but so I took a little peek over there, a little peek over there. Cockpit was huge, man. Oh. Honestly, it's getting a little embarrassing watching Trump fly around the Middle East getting sword dances and free jets. I mean, is he going to do any actual policy stuff?
I will be ordering the cessation of sanctions against Syria in order to give them a chance at greatness.
Well, you know what? I spoke too soon. This seems like maybe actually a good idea. You know, Syria has just thrown off decades of dictatorship, and Trump thinks the new government deserves a chance to find its feet free of U.S. sanctions. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I was wrong about this guy. You know, he doesn't just think about himself.
Syria's new president, Ahmed al-Shara, reportedly offered to build a Trump Tower in Damascus.
God damn it! God damn it! I spoke too soon about speaking too soon! But hey, you know what? Good on you, Syria, whatever it takes. And you know what? PBS, maybe you could learn a lesson from this. Instead of whining about Trump cutting children's programming, have you thought of offering him a Trump Tower on Sesame Street, you know? Could be a win-win. But let's move on. Just because Trump's out of the country doesn't mean his team isn't shaking things up at home. Today, at a congressional hearing, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Health Secretary and Human Wet Market, faced some tough questions about whether he wants his own children to be alive.
Something that might be helpful is you've previously said you vaccinated your children. If you had a child today, would you vaccinate that child for measles?
For measles, probably for measles. What I would say is my opinions about vaccines are irrelevant. I don't think people should be taking medical advice from me.
Then what is your job? You know what? Call me an idealist, but it'd be nice if people could take medical advice from the health secretary. You know, maybe it's actually pretty good advice to not listen to RFK's advice. Because here's how he spent his weekend.
Robert Kennedy Jr. may be Secretary of Health and Human Services, but if you want to stay healthy,
Don't go swimming in a sewage-contaminated creek, and for sure don't take your grandkids in there.
That creek that RFK Jr. is splashing around in isn't exactly pristine. In fact, it's a sewer runoff and is polluted with widespread fecal contamination. Swimming and wading are banned. But in this photo, RFK Jr. is totally submerged.
Whoa. Hey. RFK promised us he'd find the cause of autism, remember? I mean, at this point, it's like RFK Jr. is going out of his way to be gross. Does he just go on Google Maps and search disgusting things near me? These pictures are so wild. The fact that he went swimming in jeans is the most normal part of this story. And maybe if he was just taking a fecal dip himself, we'd let it slide. But he brought his grandkids. And as a parent, this is a whole new level of grandparent overstepping. Usually it's just like, we asked you not to give the kids candy. Not, we asked you not to take them swimming in E. coli-tainted sewage runoff. Conservatives are sending really mixed messages about protecting children. They're like, kids shouldn't be at drag shows. They should be bobbing for apples in a porta potty. And listen, it's not lost on me that there is a whole other story here about how America just has bodies of water out in the open filled with sewage and human shit. Yes, that is definitely something we should look into and fix. But until we do, don't go f***ing swimming in them. This morning, Donald Trump said goodbye to Qatar, but not before making an appearance at an American military base where he sashayed for the soldiers. Oh, look at that. That's sexy, right? Oh, that's sexy, yeah. Show the boys what we're fighting for over there, right? Sexy baby. And of course, Trump once again was serenaded in person by proud-to-be an American singer Lee Greenwood, which begs the question, did Donald Trump kidnap Lee Greenwood? I mean, I get having him sing at a campaign rally, but dragging him all the way to Qatar? Is Greenwood like that Mad Max guitarist? You know, is he just chained to Trump's podium at this point? Lee, are you being held against your will? If you are, give us a sign. Struggle to hit the high note.
But there ain't no doubt I love this land.
God, he needs help. Oh, God. Someone call Liam Neeson. Or Mel Gibson, probably. He'll do it, yes. Anyway, after blue-balling our troops, Trump was off to the United Arab Emirates, the country Americans always click on accidentally on the drop-down menu. Oh, man. Remember when we used to be at the top all the time? You know what? You want to win my vote? Make that your campaign promise. America first on the drop-down menu. I'll vote for that every time. Now, and as we've been discussing all week, Trump has been receiving a huge welcome at each stop on this tour. Saudi Arabia gave him a horse guard. Qatar gave him horses and camels and a sword dancing ceremony. UAE, you got a lot to live up to. Show us what you got. What the f*** is that? A group audition for a Pantene commercial? Is that a threat? Like, work with us or we'll clog your drains? But look, this wasn't a sightseeing trip. Trump was there to talk business. So the main event of the day was a roundtable with some of America's top defense contractors. A chance for Trump to be focused on selling American goods. So, make that sales pitch and bring it home.
We're coming up with a new system of drones because drones are really, if you look at the war that's going on, it's horrible. When you look at what's happening with Russia and Ukraine, the drone is killing tremendous numbers of people. You hide behind a tree and the drone comes down and it circles you with fire. You don't have a chance. The tree comes down also, by the way. It's so intense. I mean, you see these trees being knocked down like they're being sawed down by a top-of-the-line timberman, like you know who? Sean Duffy.
Oh. Okay. Okay, this was about drones. We're getting off track here. Not about trees or the timberman, so let's get back to the drones and forget about Sean Duffy.
Do you know that Sean Duffy, the head of the Transportation Department, who's working right now on the airports and getting a system because Biden didn't do a thing for 4 years?
Okay, airports, Joe Biden. Oh, shit. I know what's about to happen. Okay, everyone stay calm. We're entering a weave. Okay. All right.
That's the weave.
Buckle up, everyone. The man's been up for 4 days. This is a jet lag weave, all right? This could get bumpy.
Biden didn't do a thing for 4 years, and Pete Buttigieg was the head, and he goes bicycling to work. He takes a bicycle to work. Can you believe he's running the biggest air system in the world, and he takes a bicycle to work?
So Pete Buttigieg should have taken a plane to work? Is that what I'm overthinking it. It's a weave. You got to steer into the spin.
And they say he's going to run for president. I don't see it. Who knows, right? But I don't see it.
Have you ever been in a corn maze and you just can't find your way out? Okay, all right. Buttigieg for president, I mean, who knows? Probably not worth speculating about with a bunch of Middle East businessmen. Can we just get back to what we were talking about?
But what people don't know about Sean, because I mentioned lumberjacks.
No. Wasn't about lumberjacks, not about lumberjacks, okay? You were talking about drones. Forget about the lumberjacks.
I mentioned lumberjacks. That Sean, you probably didn't know this. That I'm not talking about this Sean. This Sean, no, this is a different Sean. Sean Duffy, the head of transportation. He's a great Sean, though, I have to tell you.
He's a great Sean? We're just ranking Seans now? You got Sean Hannity, Sean Spicer, Shaun of the Dead, Shonda Rhimes. At this point, everyone in the room was probably like, can we just give you our bribe and go home? Mr. President, look, no. I believe. Mr. President, I believe in you. You can find your way back to the drones. Take us home, Donnie.
He's a great Sean, though, I have to tell you. But Sean Duffy was the world champion for 5 years, climbing trees and down, up and down, world champion. So that's what you call a serious lumberjack. And he's doing a fantastic job, too, a really respected guy and terrific guy. The champion, because when somebody's a champion, he's the world champion. Long time. He came down, when you come down those trees, coming down at a rapid, he said that started getting you back. Often break your back. You miss a shot and you're coming down faster than the human body was meant to come down. But he's doing a fantastic job at transportation.
Look at those faces. This man right here is a Boeing executive. His planes fall out of the sky, and he's sitting here like, now this is a f***ing disaster. Can you imagine the translator at this event listening to all of this shit? Like, he said he loves it here. I don't know. All right, so, okay, just to recap here. All right, what do we have? So, we went from drones to lumberjacks to Sean Duffy to Pete Buttigieg back to Sean Duffy as a sexy lumberjack. And I won't play the rest for you because he went on for 13 more minutes with mentions, and this is all true of the stock market. He got into there for a little bit. Lee Greenwood, obviously, and how the 2020 election was rigged. And in case you're wondering when he weaved his way back to the drones, he never f***ing did. Never got back. Leader of the free world, everyone.